Last year there was a qualification ride. We arrived there just after 6 in the morning. It was quite cool. Everybody was nervous, not knowing exactly what to expect. I was about 5 minutes behind the front runner. As I rode down next to the canal, I saw something in the canal, and as I turned around, I confirmed that it's a little calf. It was quite a key decision. Do I continue? Do I stop? Time is of the essence. If I don't make the qualification time, then and then I might lose the opportunity to participate in the event.
Johan figures he can quickly rescue the calf and still turn in a good enough time to qualify. He needs to move fast for the calf, too. It will die soon in the icy water.
The assumption I made was I'll be able to get in, pick the calf up. It looked very small from the top. I'll put it on my lap, I'll climb out, and off I go. However, once I got in, I realized how slippery the side was, and I really slipped into the water and actually nearly ended up under the water. And I sort of got to the point, but what did I get myself into now?
Johan realizes he's risked a lot more than just losing the race. Now he must fight to get himself and the calf out of this deadly water trap. He ties the bottom end of his line to the calf and manages to climb up to the road.
Eventually, when I got it to the top, I put it down. It was shivering. It was ice cold. It was breathing heavily.
The calf gets a high-speed lift back to the herd, and Johan earns the undying gratitude of the calf's owner.
I spoke to one of the herdsmen. He was smart. I got my time. I qualified. It felt good to have done something and to sort of reunite the little calf and the mother in the end.
Close friends Jonathan Rousseau and John King are nature lovers, but a trip to find wild gorillas in Uganda gets them a lot more love than they are comfortable with.
Tracking mountain gorillas is an utterly unique wildlife experience. We track mountain gorillas in a park that is very evocatively called Bwindi Impenetrable National Park. And that name perfectly sums up the terrain. It's steep, mountainous terrain with dense undergrowth, and you track those gorillas to wherever the gorillas happen to be feeding.
John and Jonathan spend 2 days in the forest. Finally, the hard work pays off with their first glimpse of wild gorillas.
The wild parts of Uganda are so surprisingly beautiful that by the time you get to the gorillas, you almost forgot that that's the main reason that you came.
We woke up this particular morning and I opened the door to my cabin and there was a gorilla on the path. So I ran around to the entire group saying, guys, you will not believe it. One of the most incredible things is happening.
I heard Jonathan's voice. I instantly came alert, and all I knew was I had to move fast. I just had time to grab my small video cam, dashed out. I sat down right in the middle of their path. I wasn't really thinking, because if the gorillas approached me, they would have to walk right over me in order to get to where they were going to go.
Gorillas are herbivores and usually no threat to people. But one way to get yourself attacked by an animal is to get too close to its babies. And this family is being protected by a 180-kilogram dominant male silverback. John knows the danger he's in. He freezes and tries to disappear into the background. But one youngster is curious about this human ape, despite the closeness of his minder.
The silverback turned around to see his son touching a strange object. And there was this moment in which the silverback, you could see him thinking, do I react aggressively? Do I allow this to happen? And the silverback reached down and tried to pull his kid away from the human. And in typical 2-year-old fashion, this baby gorilla sort of shifted around and said, no, I'm interested. I want to have a look at what's happening here. And you could see the silverback thinking, And he decided, okay, well, I'll just keep control of the situation. And he sat down right behind John.
I mentally understood that he was behind me, but I was still, the sensation of touch was so overwhelming, and the smell, the wild smell of these young gorillas, it was fresh and pleasant.
Suddenly all the babies were there, trying to get a piece of the action, trying to touch the shirt. It was just absolutely overwhelming, and in more than 30 trips to the gorillas, I'd never seen anything like it.
The whole thing seemed to sort of peak at the point when the subadult female came and sort of, like nothing more than pecked me on the cheek. I remember thinking, how can it get any better than this? And then all of a sudden, it was over.
Just watch your glasses.
As the gorillas head for the hills, John is left with a kiss on the cheek and a head full of questions only an expert can answer.
He was very submissive to the male gorilla, the silverback, by putting his head down. He didn't make eye contact with the gorilla. Mr. King was actually really lucky with the reaction that he had with those gorillas and the interaction. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, but it's also got to be cautioned as not to become the norm that people kind of expected.
I was so intent on just sort of savoring the moment that it literally, they all were, 20 meters away from me before I actually looked up to see what was happening. I couldn't imagine, a more impactful wildlife encounter.
Lions are known for their communal hunts, but here an amazing lion pride rescue is caught on camera. In Kenya's Masai Mara Reserve, a cub is trapped on a vertical cliff in a 12-meter deep ravine. The pride hears the cub's cries as the cliff crumbles. The mother risks a fatal fall to save her cub. By sheer will, claws, and strength, the mother's bravery pays